My best friend is trying to ruin my marriage, and I don't know why. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. So, I, 29 female, met my best friend Sarah, 29, and husband, 31, when I was 11. I just moved to a new country with my family and my now sister-in-law, who introduced me to Sarah. Now that we're adults, we share some friends, but we each have different groups to do different things. So usually I'm working in the office from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I have a 30-minute break that I usually take to have my second breakfast and sometimes go to my husband's office. It's 5 minutes walking distance. Or a cafe near my job. Sometimes I have to work out of my office or go to another city. Every now and then, I mention to Sarah I have to travel for work during the week in casual conversations. Last week, I had to travel for work on Wednesday, but Tuesday there was a red alert about the weather the next day, so my work thing was canceled, and I stayed home with my 2-year-old. My husband went out at 6 a.m. to make sure his business was closed and put up some flood protection, and by 7:30 he was back at home making breakfast. It didn't start raining until 1 p.m. At 3 p.m., Sarah sent a message asking if I was home already because it was flooding where I was traveling. And I just texted back, home safe. We literally didn't go out until Friday. Saturday, Sarah and I go to the same gym class. She told me we needed to talk in private. So we went to my car and she told me, basically, on Wednesday, I saw your husband with a woman and they were making out and your kid was in the car. Oh. So Wednesday was the day that there was the big storm. He left at 6 a.m. to make sure his business was closed. I was frozen for a bit, but then I remembered that I was working from home with my husband and baby for 2 days. I realized she was lying, but I didn't understand anything. I asked 3 times if she was sure that it was this week's Wednesday, and she confirmed it 3 times. I asked her about the time, and she said about 11 a.m. He was back home by 7:30. I asked if it was during the red alert, and she said yes. I asked her if she was 100% sure, and she launched a whole description of my husband making out with a gorgeous Barbie look-alike blonde girl in his car in front of our kid near his office during the red alert. So he was putting my son at risk and cheating in front of him. I told her my work thing was suspended because of the red alert and we were both home the whole time it was activated. She tried to say she got confused with the days, but she confirmed it 3 times. I told her to leave and she left running. I went home and did the whole betrayed spouse house search. There was no hidden phone. I have all the passwords to every device in this house. Not lack of trust, but it's because I manage part of his business and he's bad with passwords. I even looked after hidden emails and the only thing that was hiding was his paranormal podcasts he listens to sometimes. That night, I told my husband what was going on and he denied ever cheating. And even worse, disrespecting his own son in that way. I believe him 100%. There wasn't a change in his behavior or routine. He gave up his phone right away, and I told him I already checked everything in our house, and he told me to check his car then. We decided to call Sarah together. She picked up the 3rd call, and she was crying. Is Sarah married? Is Sarah, secretly jealous of your marriage and your lovely life? I told her to just tell me why she lied. She swore she wasn't lying, but told me she got confused with Monday. I told her Monday our son was in daycare, and we had breakfast during my break, so at what time did my husband go to take our son out of daycare, go to pick up this girl to make out in front of my baby, and then back to daycare for me to pick him up and then have breakfast with me? She cried more and told me she didn't know, so my husband told her to cut the shit. If she had at least a bit of decency and tell us why she was lying. She says she was sorry and hung up, and then had the audacity to block us. I am really stumped here. I really find it weird that she's trying to sabotage her marriage. This is some serious allegations that she's churning out. If you believed her, your marriage would be over. You'd be divorced, and you'd be a single mother having to raise your son on your own. What is going on here? Is it possible that she thought she saw your husband? But then why wouldn't she be like completely sure before telling you something like that? I told the friends we had in common with her, and everyone is mad and can't explain what happened to her. She's not picking up the phone but sent a message back saying she was sick. Some of them asked her why she was lying and she blocked them. Someone even called her mom and she's just as shocked. Nobody understands what is going on. I thought maybe it was a crush, but my husband never liked her that much, so he didn't pay attention to her. She isn't even added to his socials because he never liked her when Sarah was his sister's friend or when she became my friend too. They don't interact unless it's necessary. To say she got a crush so big, she thought it was worth it to try and break a family. I do know that sometimes she gossips a little too much, or sometimes she talks about things that she shouldn't, but I never thought it would develop into something this big. I have this girl at my side for really hard moments. I had her back when she needed me. She was one of the first persons I told about my wedding and pregnancy. I loved this girl since we were little. I just don't understand, and she's not talking to anyone. It really is unfortunate that sometimes the people closest to us also can resent us the most. I've actually found that the people who've known us the longest have that resentment that builds up because, you kind of both started at the same point. Maybe you did better professionally, maybe you did better in your personal life, and for whatever reason, they just can't be happy for you. I've experienced this head on, but I'm very curious to see what everyone says in the comments. Commenter 1 said, perhaps the feeling regarding her husband is mutual and she was trying to drive him away. Is she single? Did she go through a breakup or something along those lines recently? Sometimes when that happens to people, they try to make their best friend single so they don't feel bad or jealous. It's awful, but it happens. You need to cut this person out of your life. OOP responded to this and said it's not like they're rude to each other or anything, but she's aware that my husband has a better connection with other friends of mine. But she's still invited to our house or every group kind of thing, just like any other friend. Also, she's not the relationship kind of girl, doesn't have a history of bad breakups. And she is out of our life, but she left a lot of confusion behind her. Is Sarah having a mental breakdown? It would be very strange if she was previously a good friend then suddenly starts sabotaging your relationship. Not you, but someone else should take her for a mental health check. OP responded, some of my friends are suggesting mental health because she isn't known for lying or liking drama, but it's not like we can take her to a hospital and she isn't talking to anyone. Commenter 5 said, if everyone agrees this is out of the ordinary for her, there may be a serious medical condition she's unaware of. It seems like she's convinced of what she saw, and if so, she needs to get medically evaluated ASAP. If you're in contact with her family, please let them know you're concerned for her well-being and encourage them to have her see a doctor. OOP said, I talked with her mom today and we all agree this is strange for her. She was never into drama. She responds to her mom's messages and sometimes ignores the rest, but I'm not going to involve myself into the next steps. She's out of my life. So this top comment says the 4 possible situations. 1, she wants you to be single so you're free to hang out with her. 2, she wants your husband to be free. Why though? 3, she wanted to stir up drama. Or 4, she was mistaken regardless of her reason. She's not a good friend and you're right to distance yourself from her. So we do have an update. I got the truth finally and it was far more stupid than I thought. Okay, so Sarah's mom told me to come to her house for a conversation with Sarah and to bring a friend as a buffer. I went for closure. She apologized a lot, but I literally had to interrogate her to give me reasons and I finally got them. She lied because she was mad that I missed our girls' trip, a 5-girls group, for the second time. Once because I had a 2-month-old baby, and this year because I had to work during August, and it was the only month everyone else was free. Oh my god, what about sabotage her marriage because she didn't come to our girls' trip? Be so for real right now. I traded my vacations for December extra days they owed me, so I will be out of the country from December to January 10th and miss her birthday in December and other winter activities in January. Her reasoning was if I thought my husband cheated, she was sure I would leave, but he wouldn't let me take my son abroad for too long without him, so I would be forced to stay, but would be able to travel during my husband's custody time. What the Oh my god. Oh, no, honey. Oh, absolutely not. How old are you guys? Like 30? This is... Buddy. No. She was okay just being mean and selfish because of a trip I missed and a birthday. She thought it would be okay to break my son's family so she can have all her friends for attention. Oh, be so for real. Yeah, I'm really glad you're not friends with this person anymore because in life, when people get married, they have kids, it's inevitable that you're going to see them a lot less. In no way does that mean that you take it upon yourself to ruin their relationship so you have them for yourself. What you do, what I do in this situation, is I go and I try to make new friends. Yeah, it hurts to not have your friends involved, and I'm sure it hurt her to, like, have you miss girls' trips and her birthday and stuff. But, like, dude, I told her to never contact me again and to avoid me everywhere. My friends are aware not to invite me to things if she's going to be there, but everyone is mad at her, so she's the one not being invited. This is painful as hell. I would have been able to forgive and work on things if she was having mental health issues or problems. I actually sent her mother recommendations for mental health professionals during the week. Almost 20 years of friendship down the drain. I treat my closest friends like family because a part of my husband's family, I only have my sister in this country. I make time for them, pay attention to them, and help them when I can. I thought she wanted the best for me as much as I wanted the best for her, but lesson learned, I guess. This is hella delulu, okay? This is not normal. I would not want to be friends with someone this delulu ever. How are people so dumb? The fact she thought this would work, yeah. And she was just willing to really hurt somebody to benefit herself. Bombastic side. Wow. How is she going to have more time to travel and hang out as a single mom? So stupid, literally. It would even make it worse. And let me guess, she probably wouldn't support you through that. Yes, she's responsible for sabotaging the marriage. Absolutely not. We've got some more friend feuds coming right up for you. And if you're enjoying this video and this channel, don't forget to subscribe. It's free. Am I the a-hole for ending a long-term friendship 3 months before a wedding I was supposed to be a part of? All right. I mostly feel like I'm not the a-hole, but I'm feeling conflicted, and I feel like my friends are a little too on my side, which makes me feel like maybe they're just telling me what I want to hear. There's a lot of background here, so please bear with me. I, male 38, have a friend, Layla, female 36, who has been my friend for over 15 years now. We met in school and instantly hit it off. For context, I'm a gay man and she's a straight woman. For a long time, the friendship was good, really good. We supported each other through rough times, saw each other regularly, we became best friends. At one point, after leaving her relationship, we started spending more and more time together. This was fine since we were really very close, but at some point the vibe started to change. Every so often, if I did something without Layla, or if she found out I hadn't told her something, she would get really upset. Oh, okay, so she's like kind of possessive over you. Maybe she wants a little lavender marriage. For example, one time we were at my apartment and my roommate asked me about a date I had the night before. There was really no date, it was me seeing a friend and my roommate was just messing with me. Well, Layla immediately got upset, saying how could I have a date and not tell her, how she deserved to know, and getting more and more upset. I kept trying to tell her there was no date, but she wouldn't drop it until I got legitimately upset and got very stern. Even had to raise my voice a little for her to listen. These kinds of interactions started happening more and more to the point where even my mother started commenting things like, she knows you're not into women, right? I also said lavender marriage, but you know. Now, I know Layla had never had romantic feelings toward me. It was more like she started to expect me to fill the emotional needs one would normally look for in a partner. A few years of this on and off, and I moved away. Distance seemed to do us some good at first. I still regularly visited my hometown due to work, so we saw each other every few months. But as the visits went on, it became that every visit ended in some kind of drama or issue. She felt left out if my old roommate was around. She felt I didn't set enough time aside to hang out. I forgot something she said months ago. She would be upset that she wasn't invited to specific plans I made with other friends. It all just became a lot and I started to put distance between us. I would do my best so that when we hung out it was just us. I would always set aside at least a few hours, etc. However, even then there was always some kind of issue. Yeah, this sounds exhausting. Now to the current day. Layla is getting married and I'm in the bridal party, or I was. Knowing that I lived across the country, she always made it clear she understood if I couldn't make it to one specific event or another. Cool. A few months ago, she told me she was having a bridal shower, one that she did not want to have, but her future mother-in-law forced it on her. At the time, she was clear she did not care about it, that it was not something she wanted, and she understood if I couldn't make it. Honestly, I didn't give it much importance because she made it seem like it wasn't important. Maybe that's on me. I don't know. However, at the same time, I offered for us to take a trip as a sort of bachelorette. I planned the trip, the rest of the bridal party joined, and we were set to go. I told her I'd pay for part of the resort cost, which meant half a room, but then we ended with an odd number of people, which meant I had to pay for a whole extra room for her. Fine. Not ideal, but I understood and I didn't make it an issue. All this to say, I put effort where I thought it mattered. Sounds like you're doing a lot. But remember when I told you guys in a previous video that sometimes we overcompensate with like bachelorettes and showing up for people's weddings and then they don't appreciate us? My spidey senses are going off. At the same time that this was all happening, I planned a work trip right around her birthday and told her about it, not realizing I would arrive the day after her bridal shower. This upset her. She was upset that I seemingly forgot the date. I admit I did, but I thought she didn't really care about it. Yeah, didn't she tell you time and time again that she didn't care if you came? I was focusing my energy on the bachelorette trip, then planned my work trip to be close to her birthday so we could celebrate. Right before the trip, I noticed she's responding to texts less and less. When we arrive at our destination, I can tell she's off. Mind you, they all traveled here together. I'm the only one arriving alone, so I'm already feeling a little out of the loop, so I don't know if it was in my head or not. Later that night, when we had a moment alone, I asked if we were good. Layla goes into this whole thing about how I forgot the bridal shower, how upset she was, how I didn't care. If I forgot this, I would forget the wedding. Extremely exaggerated in my honest opinion, and she let it slip that everyone else on the trip knew she was upset with me and why. Interesting that she was so upset with you, but she was totally fine with you paying for the majority of her bachelorette trip, including her room. Sounds like this friendship is a friendship of convenience. When it's convenient for her, she wants to be your friend. When it's not, she counts you out. And I would actually argue that, like, things happen. Sometimes you can't make it to your friend's bridal engagements, events, whatever. You try to make up for it in other ways, right? There's been countless times where my friends, got married and like people couldn't attend certain things. So they made up for it during the bachelorette, or they showed up to the engagement party or bridal shower or whatever. It's wrong to expect people to be able to make it to every single event, especially if you don't care about the event. I learned that sometimes people might not show up, but they try to make it up to you in other ways. And you have to let them surprise you and not hold it against them, She tells me she didn't talk to me because she didn't want to make it a thing before the trip, but apparently had no problem making it a thing with everyone else, then clearly treating me differently. Nothing was really resolved there. The rest of the trip felt somewhat off. Group interactions were okay, but she barely interacted with me one-on-one. Ugh. What an ungrateful B word. She would randomly snap at me or get argumentative about little things that didn't really matter. By the end of the trip, I just felt like absolute trash, but of course, if I did or said anything during the trip, I would be the bad guy who ruined her bachelorette, so I just smiled and played along. Back home, I decided I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep acting like everything was fine, and I felt like it wasn't right for me to be in her wedding party, when at this point, I was checked out of the friendship based on the trip and everything before. As far as I could tell, she didn't even like me anymore either. I sent her a message saying all of this, and I told her I'm not going to argue or have a long emotional conversation about it. I wished her the best, and that was that. The next day, she sent me a text saying that we needed to have a conversation, that she had a right to say her piece, and she deserved that much. That is not correct. Sounds like a around and find out. Here's the deal. If you treat people don't expect them to want to show up for you anymore. You don't deserve anything. It's been a few days and I haven't answered, and this is where I feel like I might be the a-hole. I don't think I'm the a-hole for ending the friendship, but part of me feels bad that we're a few months from her wedding, almost 4 months, and that I basically just stonewalled her. Was there a better way to go about this? I feel conflicted, and I don't know if it's legitimate guilt or just pity for a long-term friendship. Am I the a-hole for going about it the way I did? So... yeah, this is tough. I mean, she did some things that are pretty inexcusable, but you could have a conversation with her. Maybe she'll apologize. And maybe there's a friendship there that could be worth salvaging. Oftentimes, especially in this day and age, we have like a, oh, you don't know anybody, anything kind of mentality. We don't like having conflict anymore. We just ghost each other. We stonewall each other. I think that if a friendship is actually meaningful, you should be able to tell a friend, I didn't like this. It kind of hurt me when you did this. I'm disappointed, and give them the opportunity to apologize. Then you can be fully certain with how they respond to that criticism, whether or not the friendship is salvageable. If they choose to gaslight you, pull a little Darvo, or if they, just get defensive and play the victim and all these other things, if they're trying to manipulate you instead of taking accountability for how they treated you, then you know that it's not worth salvaging. It could be worth talking to her, but I digress. Not the a-hole, she sounds exhausting. You don't owe her any more time after that trip. To a certain extent, I do agree. I'm just of the opinion, especially as time goes on, I've just kind of noticed that sometimes I've cut people out of my life and I never really had those conversations, and sometimes I wish I did. Time kind of heals all wounds. Whether you have a conversation with her now or later, I think that sometimes friendships you end up breathing new life into them down the line, and sometimes it's best to not leave it so tense. That's only me saying that in hindsight. I have absolutely been this person who's there's so much drama. It seems like every conversation, every interaction just ends with someone being upset. I've cut people out for sure, but then those people end up kind of back in the circle, because not everybody ends the friendship, right? Just because you end a friendship doesn't mean that you're never going to see this person again. And then you have to play nice and stuff like that. It's hard to have those conversations, obviously. I dread them. I have so much anxiety surrounding conflict. I actually have a conflict resolution disorder where my anxiety gets so bad if I'm thinking about a possible conflict. It's crippling. In hindsight, sometimes I'm just maybe it would have been better to have a discussion. And oftentimes, if it's a friendship that's worth salvaging, sometimes you do have the discussion. And I find that if you care about the friendship, then it's worth having a discussion. If you don't care about the friendship, then just forget about it. It's kind of up to you and how much you value the friendship. Not the a-hole. I usually say try to resolve things, but I don't think you will with this woman. She's controlled you for years, and in her mind, she decides when your friendship ends or if it ends. I think stonewalling her is the only way out. OP responded to this and said, you don't even know. There are so many other examples. During the recent trip, we did an activity that I was initially apprehensive about. I ended up having a great time. I tried thanking her for pushing that activity because I was ending up doing something I never would have done. Instead of just accepting that I was thanking her, she went off about how she didn't force anyone, how everyone had a choice, that she asked the group if they wanted to do other stuff. Bruh, I just thanked you. Why is this an issue right now? But I could be typing for days. She sounds exhausting. There's something really nice about after you kind of cut the toxic relationships out of your life. Babes, I'm so bored right now. And none of the drama that's in my life has anything to do with me most of the time. I'm just an outlier, and I listen to other people's problems and I'm helping them through it. But with regards to conflict in my life, I'm so bored. And I'm so thankful for that boredom. I'm at ease. I can sleep properly. I don't have stress. It's just, it's very zen. So whatever you have to do to get yourself to that point, whether it be to have some sort of resolution or to just stonewall her and cut her out, it's really up to you and whatever feels comfy for you. I'm going to say not the a-hole. It's completely up to you whether or not you want to have a discussion with her. It could be worth sort of seeing what she has to say. And if she spends the whole time no, I'm making it with you hurt me, and doesn't take any accountability, then you have your answer and you can feel good about your decision. Not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for cutting off an entire friend group after they tried to get me to pay for their holiday? Do tell. I, 20 female, and 9 other friends had planned on going on holiday together, and we booked an Airbnb. Each of us paying an equal part and sending it to my close friend, 22 male, who was in charge of arranging the holiday. Y'all know exactly how I feel about booking a group Airbnb. Always goes down, literally every time. I'm not a citizen of the country I live in, and I had some problems with my immigration status right before our holiday, which interfered with my ability to leave the country. Okay, sounds like you didn't really have a choice but to not go. I made my friend aware of this and apologized, but assured him that I would still pay for the stuff we had already booked. Nice of you. I also said I knew some of our friends couldn't come on the holidays as they couldn't afford it, so they were welcome to come in my place and they didn't have to pay me back. They'd just pay for a name change on my plane ticket. Sounds like you're being pretty gracious about all of this. I thought you were gonna say that you, backed out and then, wanted to be paid back. Honestly, even that is fair. A few days later, he messaged me to say that the Airbnb we booked had canceled on us and our money was being refunded. Okay, so it all worked out. I asked him if it would be all right if he could send me my chunk of the money back and the group could rebook another Airbnb that would accommodate a smaller group. He said yes. Okay, this sounds good. He texted me again a while later saying there were only expensive Airbnbs left and they needed my chunk of the money to help everyone afford the more expensive place. Oh, hell no, honey. No. Sorry, we need the money so we can't give it back. I highly doubt it. I really, really doubt that. He also said I had bailed on everyone and left everyone in a tight spot, so I was expected to do this, and I was already okay with my money burning, so me paying would be the lesser evil compared to everyone else paying more. No. You didn't want to leave your friends in a bind because Airbnbs are oftentimes non-refundable. Then they canceled and you got the money back. Therefore, the issue is resolved. They cannot just take your money and use it to pay for an expensive Airbnb that you didn't even book. I was very confused with a very sudden switch in tone. They have a group chat without you, babes. I told him me bailing wasn't a problem for everyone until he decided it was. That what he was trying to do felt opportunistic. Clock it. Because he wouldn't have asked me to resend him my money to pay for them, had the money been refunded to my account and not his. I told him I was in fact okay with my money burning in the context of someone else going in my place. I've been on the receiving end of not having to pay someone back for a holiday before, and I would like to return the favor when I can, and just keeping my promise with the stuff we had already booked previously. But he had taken the offer I made in a very specific context and manipulated that to serve his own whims. I said this disturbed me, and I was mostly looking for an apology. I later looked up housing around the area for myself and found many options that fit all of our criteria. Remember when I said that that's bullshit, that they could only find the expensive ones? Yeah. They were perfectly capable of booking a more reasonable price that they could afford. I felt that he was trying to construct a narrative around scarcity to make me feel bad and use me to help the group to afford a more luxurious place. The Airbnb he was now trying to get was way over our initial budget, so everyone's going to end up paying more anyway. I said I wasn't the reason for them being out of a house, that was Airbnb's fault and they were making it mine. I felt disrespected because he never even asked me if I could help them pay as a favor to a friend or just genuine ask for help because of course I would have. But he resorted to treating me like a kid he was lecturing. I said the money wasn't the problem, but the entitlement was. People in our group said I was being super unreasonable, because they want the luxurious place. And that I was making everyone pay a larger chunk for the holiday house, and the only decent thing would be to give them my refund for the inconvenience I caused by bailing. Shut the f*** up. Literally shut your mouth. 22 male later called me on the phone and ended up devolving into what essentially felt like a humiliation ritual. He apparently invited people over prior to calling me. And the entire time, as I was talking about how I felt wrong, some friends in the background were giggling, making weird comments, and doing little reactions after my every sentence. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't want to pay for these people. I'd say I'd feel taken advantage of, and they'd laugh audibly in the background and go, I can't believe she actually said that. The audacity. The audacity of you. We shouldn't have to pay for her absence. You don't, because you're booking a new Airbnb. You're not paying for her absence. Fuck anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking place pills. Which really pushed me on edge, and I ended up telling everyone involved to get their shit together and stopped acting like children and hung up on their face. Honestly, the phone call came as a shock because I've been friends with them for 6+ years and I hadn't realized they were capable of what essentially felt like straight up bullying. He later texted me and said he found some other option and offered to pay me back to make amends, but I told him I was done and to keep the money, and I blocked him. Am I the a-hole? I mean, I really wish that you kept the money. Oki edited to add, to the people confused about why I just let them have the money. For me, it wasn't about the money in the first place. It's how I felt I was disrespected. Yeah, but it's still like they got what they wanted. That whole thing was just a tactic to try and get money out of you, and they won. I don't love it. I would have gotten the money back and then blocked them because I'm the petty fudge. I also told them this numerous times. Money comes and goes. I'd rather them have the money if they needed it that badly than leave any space for them to pay me as frugal. The money being given back to me was being framed as him making amends to me and making things right, but nothing about this was right, so I didn't want to make him feel validated in having made his amends. There were also people along the lines of some people won't be able to afford the holiday without it. Well, then you find a different way to holiday, babes. And also that's because you did find a place that was cheaper. And I'm sorry, but holidays and vacations are a luxury in life. You cannot walk into Hermes and demand a Birkin for 20 bucks. Like, you just can't. If you can't afford a vacation, you cannot force your friends to subsidize your vacation because you can't afford it. This is literally why. Because if you're in a situation where you're paying for the Airbnb and everyone has to pay you back, people won't pay you back until like literally the last second. Or if you're in a situation where, you know, you have to pay for an Airbnb and someone backs out, then you have to pay the like additional cost of that. Like literally every time. This is one of the few examples where you actually offered to let them have the money back when they still had that Airbnb. I feel sorry for you. You sound like a really stand-up person that didn't want your friends to like be out of a bunch of money. They're using you and they bullied you. Not everyone involved were a-holes, just spineless. And as much as I don't want them to be my friends, I also don't want to even slightly be responsible for ruining their holiday, whether it's warranted or not. Most of my family and really close friends have said I should have taken my money. It's definitely my ego or pride speaking, but I'd rather have my peace and mine than anything else. Yeah, I mean, I guess I do get where you're coming from. I just genuinely feel like they have no consequences for how they behaved, and that's disappointing. This was a quick out. I had no energy left to try and further arrange or chase my refund. I just wanted to cut ties immediately. My job isn't to teach them a lesson. I'm sure someone along the way will do that for them. Also, seeing there be such a consistent consensus on who's in the wrong has healed me a bit. I've been around the wrong people for too long and have lost grasp on reality because I did not expect this one bit. I honestly don't feel like you're the a-hole. I feel like you handled this with grace. And yeah, maybe you do have a little bit of pride, and that's why, you know, you're like, you take the money. I don't care. I don't know how much it was, to be honest. Like if it was like $100 or something, I doubt it would have been that much. It probably would have been more. But you know, like it's like there's also something nice about being petty and be like, no, you take it since you're so cheap. Like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Since you're a cheap and you're willing to end a friendship over $100, take it, but never call me again. There is something petty about that. I just genuinely feel like their entire goal was to get you to subsidize their vacation, and they won. So I don't love that. I'm gonna go with not be a-hole. You sound like a really stand-up person and a good friend, and I'm sorry that that happened to you. You deserve to go on vacation with friends that act like adults. My best friend sent my husband spicy photos. I need advice figuring out what to do. Dumper. I genuinely hope that you guys can convince me that I'm overreacting, but I feel like my life has collapsed. I've been married to my husband for 15 years and we have a teen daughter. OP's 37, husband is 38, and friend is 38, okay? So, like any couple that's been through all that, we obviously experience the ups and downs, the highs and the lows over the years. We both have busy schedules and we haven't been extremely consistent in the bedroom. But we make sure to find time for ourselves alone at least once or twice a month. On a recent Saturday, our daughter was at a sleepover, so I was hoping to have some time with my husband. I spent probably 20 minutes cleaning up the kitchen, and then I went to our bedroom. When I walked in, I quickly realized that he was enjoying himself to something on his phone. He tried to act like everything was normal when I came in, but I'm not stupid. I'm not opposed to enjoying yourself, though it does make me feel a little bit inadequate. I mean, I don't really think it's a big deal. It depends on like what he's using. This is not the first time I caught him doing it. So I asked him to tell me what was on his phone. He said no and walked out of the room, but I followed him and eventually got him to show me. He was looking at a photo of my best friend in lingerie. Oh, absolutely not. Right, Uju. Right away. At that moment, I wanted to combust. I was convinced that they were together and that my life would fall apart. I yelled and screamed, and I don't know exactly what I said. I cried a lot, and so did he. After a while, my husband convinced me to hear him out, and he profusely apologized and said that it would never happen again, and it was the stupidest thing he ever did. I told him that it felt like he was cheating. He promised that he never would, but acknowledged that he had reached a line that he never should have. My husband tried to explain the situation like it was an innocent interaction. He said he'd been texting my friend, which I knew he did once in a while. I text her husband too sometimes, though mostly in a group chat, about possibly getting me lingerie as a gift sometime. He says that since we have similarly curvy body types, he asked her for some kind of advice and she went to the store, tried some on, and sent him photos of her recommendations. Of her wearing it? Oh, hell no! There is literally no world in which it is okay to send your friend's husband spicy photos of yourself. I have this friend who has another friend, who she does this thing and expressed to my friend that she posts spicy photos to her close friends story on Instagram. And she has different close friends stories because you can have different ones for guys that she's seeing, thirst traps, whatever. She had posted a spicy photo of herself to the close friend story that my friend's husband was on. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah, no. Because, also knowing that that's exactly what she does to, thirst trap, and knowing that her husband was on that close friends list, bombastic side eye. In my mind, that's an insane explanation. Never in a million years would I send spicy photos of myself to my best friend's husband if he ever asked for recommendations. Literally take a photo on the rack. Of you not wearing it. Maybe a photo of it on a model. But the fact that she put it on and took a photo of herself in it, My husband showed me all of his texts that was basically saying what they were saying, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. There were 3 photos in total, but I only had to look at one to feel confident that she knew what she was doing. My husband promised to block her number and never do something so stupid ever again. I don't know that I believe him, but I also don't know what else to do. Your friend is also to blame here. It's not just your husband. I'm still so angry at both of them. I still have not said a single word to my friend about this, and I don't know that I will have the heart to for a while. She clearly knows something is up because I haven't responded to her texts or seen her since this happened. I would welcome any advice any of you have. You gotta confront her about it. Or just send her a photo. I would have literally just sent it to her. That's so she knows. Send the pics back in the group chat and thank her for sending the pics to your husband and helping him in his attempt to purchase lingerie for you. Say that he no longer needs your assistance now, nor will in the future. Thank you very much. Hope your husband enjoys the pictures as much as we have. Commenter 2 thinks that this is a sign that there's more cheating going on, actual cheating. Don't text your friend, text her husband. Commenter 3 said, who's telling her husband? Her, you, or your husband? Someone's telling it, right? Oh. I totally didn't clock that she also has a husband who will not be happy to find out that she's sending those photos of herself to somebody else. Commenter 4, she knew exactly what she was doing when she sent them, just like your husband knew what to do when he got them. Ugh. I'm not about to shame women for choosing what to wear. If you're wearing a bathing suit, you're all at the beach, whatever. But in certain situations, let's say you're going to an engagement party, or let's say you're going to a family gathering, or an event that doesn't call for a bathing suit. If you're choosing in that event to wear something that's captures attention, that makes people look at you, that will get looks or attention, I think to some degree, I think that it's entirely possible that women do know what they're doing. And I know this firsthand, okay? I've been in situations before where, I'm with a bunch of couples and a friend came who was single and she decided to skinny dip in front of everyone, which is there is literally no reason why you should be skinny dipping in front of married men. I just don't understand why you're doing that if not to get the attention that you want. And that's absolutely what it was about. I do think that to some degree, women do know what they're doing, especially in a situation where so many other things could have happened. She could have taken photos of the lingerie on the rack, she could have sent a photo from the website. Why did it have to include her own body? That's not innocent, in my opinion. I don't care if you have similar body types and she was trying to show him what it looked like. I find it super weird that your husband is asking your friend what lingerie to get you. Go to La Senza, go to Victoria's Secret, and ask the people that work there. This is not a conversation that they should have been having at the beginning. Like, you can talk to your girlfriend or your fiance's friends about like planning birthday parties or like what kind of ring they would want, or like if you were gonna propose or something, you know, if you're planning some sort of surprise or whatever. But like lingerie. So she knew exactly what she was doing when she sent them, just like your husband knew what to do with them when he got them. His reason for having them is beyond ridiculous, and you should be insulted that he thought it worth its time to spout such drivel. He's being unfaithful, full stop. She's not a stranger on the internet. She was your friend. They both betrayed you, and only you know what to do. If it were me, he had better hope she has room for him at her place, because I no longer do. Okay, so we do have an update. Basically, you guys were right. My husband cheated on me. So he has been staying somewhere else for the last week. It's crushing. I'm so sorry. Even if it wasn't like physical cheating, just the act of them exchanging photos like that, like, is cheating. I didn't send the photos to a group chat like many of you told me to, but I did talk to my friend's husband. Afterward, he approached her and she told him everything. Apparently, she has cheated with my husband a handful of times and sent him many photos on Snapchat. She said they both agreed a couple of months ago to stop, but I don't really care. I never want to see her or talk to her again in my life. My husband again apologized over and over and insisted he would never do such a thing again, but I don't think this is going to work. The cheating is really bad, but the lying is absolute heartbreak. We haven't told our daughter yet because I'm not sure that I have any of the right words. People are saying don't tell your daughter, let him do it. He's gonna lie though. That's the thing. He's not going to say exactly what happened. There are a few things in a relationship that are honestly non-negotiable. Cheating is one thing that I will never be okay with. Ever. So if it were me, bye-bye. You're done. You're done. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my friend camping when she doesn't even like camping? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I, 24 female, and having a massive fallout with a long-term friend, Maggie. We've been friends for about 4 years. She's married to my boyfriend's friend. We've had a hometown friend group since high school, about 7 or 8 years. Last year, Maggie had a major falling out with another girl in our group, Emma, over a cleaning business Maggie owns. She used to work for her. Because of their drama, I didn't initially put much effort into hanging out with Emma out of loyalty to Maggie. Recently, however, Emma, Jerry, my boyfriend, partner, and I all reconnected. We started hanging out more, and Emma suggested the four of us plan a camping trip. There were 3 main reasons we planned it as just the 4 of us. 1, to rebuild our core bond. Camping's a shared hobby the 4 of us used to do together all the time before the group fractured. We specifically wanted this trip to be tight-knit, quality one-on-one time so we could go back to the way things once were. 2, Emma and I had a pre-existing timeline. The original distance between Emma and me happened naturally before she ever worked for Maggie, but the primary reason we didn't rekindle sooner was entirely because of a massive blowout Maggie had with her. Out of loyalty, I kept my distance. The reality is that my lack of closeness with Emma last year was completely for Maggie's sake, and the second those two patched things up, Emma naturally came around me again. Okay, so they patched things up. They're not at odds anymore. I could see Maggie being upset about the camping if you were going camping with someone who, like, really genuinely hurt her. You're not exactly divulging what it was about, but the fact that they patched things up, I feel like you're in the clear for that. 3, we genuinely thought Maggie hated camping. Over the years, Maggie had stated multiple times that she does not like camping. Years ago, she came on a trip with my partner and me, complained the entire time, and made the entire experience completely miserable. We logically assumed she wouldn't even want to go. Okay. I completely agree that there are times in life where you just want to have like a small gathering between like you and one other couple or you and another friend and not invite anybody else. 3 is a crowd, honestly, but I've also experienced people getting genuinely upset at me if, let's say, I have a girls' night out and I don't invite one girl because she's kind of at odds with someone else that I went with. Or if I have a party and I don't invite every single person that normally comes to my parties. It's really weird. Oh, honestly, it's a little weird and possessive. I had a New Year's Eve party once where actually the friend where I was talking about that posted those photos of her on her close friend story for my friend's husband to see. She got really mad because I had previously invited her to another party and then I had heard about the close friends thing. I was like really put off by it, and in all honesty, it was like a 14-person New Year's Eve party. It wasn't a big group. She was really upset that she wasn't invited, and she went and like had a breakdown with like a bunch of people, really upset that she wasn't invited, and we've been kind of at odds ever since. She's been like really salty about it, and like I don't really see her anymore because of it. Everyone is genuinely entitled to have separate friend groups and to have separate events and gatherings and dinners and stuff like that, and not invite every single person, because if that's the case, it's like every time I have people over, it has to be like at least 30 to 40 people. And I go all out for my shindigs, okay? Like I prepare food, me and my husband prepare food, we go to the liquor store, we get a lot of drinks, like I made like these spicy margaritas, like I go all out when I have like an event. And then if you invite everyone, it just becomes this thing where you have to account for like literally 40 people every time. And I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to just have a few close people and that's it. But I've been in a situation before where people have gotten upset that I haven't included them. So, I get how you feel. A few days ago, I nonchalantly mentioned the upcoming trip to Maggie when talking about how busy I was all of July. She flipped out later over text, sending me walls of text saying she was deeply hurt that she and her husband weren't considered or included. The text literally opened with, "I'm a little hurt. I guess that you didn't include me in the camping plans because last year you and Emma wouldn't even hang out without it being weird." My immediate reaction was obviously being defensive and what the fuck? Who says something like that? You guys all made up though. When I explained, hey, we just thought you didn't like camping, she completely shifted the goalposts. She brought up 5 different contradictory reasons as to why she was upset, at one point claiming she doesn't like camping now and blamed her past behavior on undiagnosed ADHD. Whether she likes camping or not, you are entitled to have separate friend groups and to get to know people and to have one-on-one time with people that you want to get to know, and not everybody has to be included. And it's not a dig. It's not like this thing that's like, oh, our friendship is over, they're excluding me or whatever. It's like, no, I just want to have a separate occasion where I get to know these people and it's just us. That's all it is, like a lot of the time. There are times where you invite other people and there's times where you want to be like, you know, intimate. Not intimate in that way, but you get what I mean. I tried to fix the miscommunication right away. I told her I hadn't even booked it yet and explicitly asked, do you want to go or no? I will ask Emma if we can get another lot to make room. Even though I provided an immediate solution, she snapped back with, no, we are good. Okay, then what is your problem? That's not very helpful, okay? I feel like you're trying to, you know, do a lot to like mend this situation, and she's just kind of dying on the hill. So she said, no, we're good, completely failing to keep her story straight. Rejecting a direct, instant solution made it obvious she didn't actually care about the trip or want to go. It seemed that she just wanted to make me the bad guy. Because the texts were getting out of hand, I told her I wasn't going to do this over iMessage. I had just worked a 10-hour day on 1 hour of sleep, and I was completely exhausted. I asked if I could come over after work so we could talk like adults, and she originally agreed and said, of course. But then she randomly canceled on me last minute. When trying to explain, she tried to force the entire situation to accommodate strictly to her own schedule. She constantly blamed things on being overstimulated, and that's exactly what she did here. She told me she was too overstimulated to talk and needed days to process, and it was setting a boundary. Hold on a second, because she's also creating conflict here, and she's not willing to resolve the conflict. I think you're doing a pretty good job of like trying to reassure her, trying to like work around her, and she's choosing to continue the conflict and draw it out. All it really takes is a quick conversation between friends. You say, you know, hey, I'm sorry, it wasn't my intention to exclude you. We were just trying to like plan a camping trip. We've been talking about it for a while. It had nothing to do with trying to exclude you. You clean up the miscommunication and that's it. And this is one thing that like I have a very big issue with. If you have a friend who causes conflict, because I'm the type of person that over explains and over accommodates and like over apologizes. So if I've hurt my friend, I do my absolute best to try and resolve it as soon as possible, because I cannot handle the idea of like having that conflict. But if you are the type of person to be avoidant, I'm anxious attached. If you're avoidant attached, every time we have a conflict, you refuse to resolve it. That is one situation where I just genuinely feel like the friendship just isn't healthy. This isn't working out. She tried to make me wait a full 7 days after the initial argument to have the conversation, completely ignoring that my peace, my sleep, and my schedule matter too. And the world just doesn't stop to revolve around her terms. She actually threatened me that if I wasn't okay with this boundary, then we were not friends. Okay, well, what about your need to want to resolve something? I can understand feeling stressed out about a conflict. I genuinely feel like if you guys just talked, it would be over. She's drawing it out, and then you build up resentment, and then it's not conducive to mending things to draw it out like this. And it's stressful also. She's putting unwanted and unreasonable stress on you. This may be a personal thing for me, but I'm literally a nurse. So to say I'm unempathetic when I literally try to be so empathetic to patients in a hospital is just an insult. Here's the real kicker. When telling me she didn't have the energy or capacity to talk to me, she was messaging Emma to try and twist the narrative. You're a mean girl. In her mind, the friendship was already over. She completely validated what I thought was a savior complex based on the text she sent. She texted Emma claiming I dropped literally everything for her, and then to not get invited just hurt when I was the one holding you guys together as friends last year. Wait, what? Wait, am I understanding this correctly? Holding you guys together? That's not what happened. Weren't you the one that was being loyal to your Maggie friend, and now no. This is a complete rewrite of history and an insult to my capability as an adult. She does not own or control my relationships. Mind you, Emma and I have a much longer history than Maggie's ever been around. She also texted Emma claiming I have no empathy and I'm too stubborn to show it. Yeah, she's literally already trying to find allies. This is something that happens when friendships have falling outs. The first thing everyone does is go to see who the allies are. This is my best friend, Valentina. She's an ally. Swap, Valentina. Ally. It's literally war in our mind. Let's go find our allies so that we can deal with this conflict together. You don't do that unless you genuinely feel like you want to end the friendship. While calling me rude for taking time to cool off over the weekend after she was the one who flaked on our plans earlier that Friday. She expects immediate grace when she cancels on me, but completely penalizes me when I take a weekend to process my own responses maturely. This may be a personal thing for me, but I'm literally a nurse, so to say I'm unempathetic when I bust my ass to try and be empathetic treating patients in a hospital for 12 hours a day is such an insult. Thankfully, Emma didn't buy her manipulation and defended me. But the truth is, nobody's going to listen to your hurt feelings or show you empathy if you're just going to aggressively insult and attack their character throughout the entire conversation. She completely buried her own valid feelings under a mountain of insults and gossip. Furthermore, she fails to realize that this is the exact type of toxic overreaction, creating an exhausting week-long emotional hostage situation over a simple miscommunication, is exactly what ensures people won't want to invite her to things in the future. She's actively creating the very exclusion she's crying about. You can have, disagreements with your friends, right? But it is really important that you both communicate. It is really important that you both put your pride aside. I understand people have ADHD and stuff like that, and they have conflict resolution issues, and you deal with that in different ways. I over-apologize and overcompensate and try to make things right away. Other people avoid conflict. They need time to step away or whatever to resolve it. It's not like she's stepping away to resolve it and think about how she's going to respond. She's actively going out of her way to create allies and talk shit about you. This is not I need to gather my thoughts. This is oh no, I don't want to talk to you because I want to make sure everybody's on my side first. I hate it. To be honest, this is one of the reasons why, friendships I've had have ended in the past. It's just not healthy. We have to be able to have disagreements and be able to talk to each other. And if we can't, resentment is going to build. And it's just how are we ever supposed to resolve anything? As much as I hate to say this, Maggie seems to have a history with conflict. She's had fallouts with multiple people in our circle, has constant problems with her mother-in-law, and somehow is always the victim while everyone else is heartless. She doesn't realize she's the common denominator. I'm not saying her feelings in certain situations aren't valid, but the way you come across does. I absolutely despise the fact when people weaponize therapy language, brother, me too, and act like they're very emotionally intelligent and into their healing journey when they're the most toxic communicators. I refuse to respect her overstimulation boundary because it was clearly a manipulative tactic to buy time. Anywho, am I the a-hole and does my friend seem like a narcissist, or am I crazy? So, there's definitely some narcissistic tendencies. Not a therapist, do not pretend to be. I don't like diagnosing people. I think it's actually also very rare for therapists to diagnose a narcissist. There's plenty of narcissistic traits that people have, but it doesn't make them an all-out narcissist. She is displaying some narcissistic traits, especially if she has a history with conflict, always playing the victim and stuff like that. You obviously insulted her by not including her. And with regards to a narcissist, if you insult their ego even just like a little bit, the overreaction is very, very telling. I'm going to say not the a-hole. You really did your best. I get that she probably felt left out, but you really did your best to try and mend this, and she's just making it as difficult as possible for you. Not the a-hole. She doesn't like yours and Emma's friendship. She's jealous of you, that you plan something together. I would just drop her until she apologizes. No one needs that kind of negative attitude in their lives. Yeah, there's definitely an element of like, she my friend, not yours. OP said, this is exactly my train of thought. This whole situation is so childish. I tried to squash it immediately by offering a solution because conflicts really are not my thing. But here we are. Just seems like she wants a reason to be the victim. High school drama at its finest. You can't be friends with her and me too and leave me out of something I hate. Makes no sense. OP said exactly, the logic is infuriating. It's interesting how this kind of behavior, like people getting jealous of like you having separate friendships, it goes into adulthood. Like I've experienced it even in my 30s. People do get like weird and possessive and like angry if you go out with other people and don't invite them or like whatever it is. But the important thing is that you communicate through it, you know? And maybe just like understand that people can have separate friendships. You are not the a-hole. Those were some spicy friend feuds. If you enjoyed this video, you will love the one on the screen right now. And don't forget, subscribe!